Hey, once again, everybody, this is Adam Burke from BangTheBook.com coming to you with our Thursday three-pack video here for December 20th, my three favorite plays of the night. I'll bring those to you here in a second after I tell you about everything great that's going on over at BangTheBook.com, getting our NFL content ready for this weekend. Danny Vorgs' updated NFL power ratings went up this morning, 60% for the picks and leans on the year, 57% lifetime over at BangTheBook.com for Danny's NFL power ratings picks. And this year, he also added his totals model leans to the bottom of that article. They're doing a fantastic job as well. So must read every week that Danny Vorgs power ratings piece over at BangTheBook.com. Parker Michael's still doing a great job in the NHL. He's fighting through a little bit of an illness today, but he got his picks and the charts up over at BangTheBook.com. You definitely want to check out Parker's piece every single day over there. All of the upcoming college football bowl games have been previewed by our cast of writers. We got how to bet pieces for tonight's two NBA games. We'll have a how to bet piece for college over the weekend with some of those different games that are coming up. Lots of good stuff going on over there. Definitely want to make sure that you're checking it all out. And of course, Bang the Book Radio. Really strong edition here today with Brad Powers and Tony George. Talked about 10 bowl games with Brad Powers coming up starting Saturday and going on into next Thursday. Talked 3 NFL games on the show between the two handicappers. How to handicap the Christmas Day NBA games. Lots of really good stuff on today's edition of Bang the Book Radio. You can follow that on Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, or you can get the individual segments here on our Bang the Book YouTube page. You're already here, so go ahead and check those out. All right, we'll take a look at my Thursday three-pack here for tonight. We'll go ahead and start with the college game that unfortunately is on the move here tonight. The Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. This was 2.5 early on in the betting process. That's where I took this number, but I certainly still recommend it at 3.5 if you can find one of those. And there are -4s out there. Look, it's not the best of the price. I will readily admit that. But with the weather conditions that we're dealing with for tonight's game, definitely favors Marshall. And also, my inclination here is that we probably won't see too much of South Florida starting quarterback Blake Barnett in this game. He was in a walking boot up until a few days ago, not really doing a whole lot of practicing for South Florida in the lead up to this bowl game. So I don't think their offense is going to be very dynamic with the wet field and with the wet conditions. I don't think Charlie Strong is going to do anything to jeopardize, this kid's future going forward. So I think that's one of the big reasons why we're seeing this line climb up into the 4 range. And if Barnett is definitely out, or at least very limited for South Florida, their offense is going to be very limited as well. Dropped their last 5 games coming into the bowl game. A lot of that had to do with Blake Barnett being injured and just not being fully effective. Didn't even play some of the games as well. So South Florida really operating at a loss here, even if he's able to go, still not 100%. Marshall brings the 5th best run defense in college football in terms of yards per carry allowed to the table tonight. They have a decent running game as well. And Doc Holliday, 5-0 straight up, 5-0 against the spread in bowl games at Marshall. 2 outright upset victories, and then he's covered in the 3 games as a favorite. Growing favorite here tonight, but you've got to think that Marshall, going for their 9th win, that would surpass last year's win total. You got to think there's a lot of incentive, a lot of motivation for them. Probably not so much on the South Florida side for this game. They're going to be playing at home in their home stadium, as we've talked about on Bang the Book Radio. Not really a whole lot of excitement with that. And furthermore, with this weather forecast tonight, I don't think anybody really shows up for this game. I don't think South Florida is able to generate their own energy. It's Marshall all the way here tonight. Again, you want to shop around for the best price. If you can find a stray 3.5, highly recommend that. Still like this game a little bit at 4. As it continues to climb, obviously, you don't want to take something like 4.5 when you could have had a better number. But we really wanted to highlight and key in on this game here for tonight, the Gasparilla Bowl. So I still like Marshall at the 4. Obviously, if you didn't get him at 2.5, that's a disappointing thing. But you want to try to get the best numbers whenever you possibly can. Not the best number here for this one, but with what I'm seeing in the line, with what the weather forecast looks like, I still think Marshall is the play here tonight. And quite frankly, it wouldn't surprise me if this game doesn't come anywhere close to that 4-point line, especially with what Doc Holliday has done in terms of the bowl games. We'll move on to the second game here of the Thursday 3-pack. Game 525, 526 in the college basketball world. That's Manhattan taking on Albany. I like the under 121 in that Manhattan versus Albany game. Manhattan 348th in the country in tempo. Albany 266th. Manhattan, according to Bart Torvik, the worst offensive efficiency in college basketball, 353rd in the country. Ken Pom has them 348th. They haven't played that tough of a schedule either, so to be that bad really does stand out here with this Manhattan Jaspers team. They are 136th, though, per Ken Pom in defensive efficiency, 154th per Bart Torvik on the year. And Albany's not a very good offensive team either. Both of these teams turn the ball over a lot. Neither one of these teams in a hurry. So I think there are a lot of factors working in our favor here tonight to take a look at the under. Now, Albany is getting some help in their next game with Seton Hall transfer Philip Flory coming back from injury, but that's not until next week. One of their few seniors on the roster, Devontae Campbell, I read in the Albany papers that he's probably going to be coming off of the bench for this game, just to sort of try and give them a spark, try something a little bit different. The problem is Campbell has the lowest turnover rate on the team, so whoever replaces him, more likely to turn the basketball over, and Manhattan, number 2 in the country in turnover percentage at 25.9%. So they're not a good offensive team, but they force a lot of turnovers. So those turnovers, they're not going to get out on the break. Neither one of these teams moves all that quickly. So if there are turnovers in this game, probably a lot of settling down in the half court, a lot of eating up clock, stuff like that. So I do think the under 121, pretty good look here tonight. Albany's best player, Ahmad Clark, very, very streaky shooter. Manhattan has some good length at the guard position and at the small forward position to, maybe push him out of his comfort zone a little bit more. So game 525, 526, Manhattan and Albany, under 121 here between the Jaspers and the Great Danes. One more play for the Thursday 3-pack. We'll go to the ice for this one. Game 11-12 on the rotation order. Minnesota, the Minnesota Wild, taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. We'll go under 6.5 here for this game. I also do like Minnesota a little bit in this one. Kind of fought with myself back and forth if I like the under a little bit more or the Minnesota side a little bit more. Do like both of them here in this game tonight, though. Pittsburgh, 6th game in 9 days. Some tired legs for this team. Last night played Washington. Very spirited game. Playoff-like atmosphere there at PPG Paints Arena. The thing that was tough for Pittsburgh about that game last night, Jamie Alexiak left with concussion symptoms after his fight against Tom Wilson. So for Pittsburgh in last night's game, had to run 5D virtually the entire game. Chris Letang played over 32 minutes in that one. So the Penguins operating at a little bit less than full strength tonight. But I do like Casey DeSmith. I think Casey DeSmith, a better goaltender than Matt Murray. Matt Murray, obviously the Stanley Cup winner. So perception and reality a little bit different there for the Penguins goaltending situation. But I do like Casey DeSmith. So that's why I eventually, went with the under here for the Thursday 3-pack. You talk about Pittsburgh coming off of games against Washington as well. In their last 34 games after playing Washington, when they're favored in the next game, the under is 20, 10, and 4 in those 34 games. So a lot of unders here for Pittsburgh. The under 5-0-3 in the last 8 games. We can't get a push with 6.5 tonight. So for Pittsburgh, there is a little bit of a hangover effect coming off of playing the Capitals. I think that's part of the equation tonight. So I like the under. Also like Minnesota on the side. You can find them in the minus 105 range out there. Not a great price. This is a line that's moved down from Minnesota in the plus 115, plus 118 range down to minus 105. But do like the under tonight in the Wild Penguins game. Also like the Wild a little bit on the side. And for our official Thursday 3-pack, Marshall minus the 4 now. Again, if you can find a 3.5, definitely prefer that. Manhattan, Albany under 121. And then Minnesota and Pittsburgh on the ice under 6.5. I'll be back tomorrow with our Friday Parlay video. We'll talk about some things you can look for over the weekend. Maybe an NFL teaser, maybe a moneyline parlay, something of that sort. We'll have a little bit of fun as we head on in to the holiday weekend. Once again, I'm Adam Burke from BangTheBook.com.